Hey everyone, it's Jamie from IndependenceStTarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here with my good friend Helen, the Crimson Cadaverous.
Hi.
Hi, and we are just talking away. It is Monday, the 25th. Um, I was talking about, I woke up very agitated today, so I had to go for a walk. And Helen was kind enough. It's always nice when you have friends and you say, I'm very agitated, and they're like, okay, take your time. So thank you, Helen.
Yeah, of course. I understand because I was telling you the same thing. Like I was feeling lots of anxiety. So I'm like, I get
So
it. Like,
it's great when two astrologers slash tarot readers, slash like feel agitation because we just kind of sit back and forth and scream at each other in a good way.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's so I feel better already. And
Yeah.
if you're not feeling any anxiety, give yourself or agitation, give yourself a pat on the back. So we're gonna go over this week to figure out why we feel a little just revved up. You know what I mean? Like ready to go.
Yeah, I definitely, what we were talking about right before we came on screen was
Yeah.
that, I'm not going to say, I don't want to blame the moon because we were
Did you
watching that
see that
video.
thing I made, that post I made on my
But,
stories? It was really funny.
yeah, but the Aries full moon definitely, I feel like, is kind of almost like kind of like a breaking point that we're like coming to. And I don't say breaking point in a bad way, because I was telling you, spirit keeps telling me like something's going to break during this full moon.
Yep.
And I almost feel like now that I'm saying it, almost like the floodgates breaking open. And I think it's like something that like whatever this anxiety, anxiousness that we're all, I don't want to say we're all feeling, but like I know several people are feeling. I think it's almost like something like it the floodgates of that need to break open and we need to like maybe like I don't know, it's going to flow out.
So let's go over a couple things. So we are now in Libra season.
Yes.
Happy Libra season, everybody. What I forgot and then was reminded and then forgot and was reminded again. South Node is in Libra. So I feel like this is going to be a big Libra season because of that.
Yes. So a
We're
lot of
heading,
old stories.
yep, we're heading into eclipse season in October.
Yes.
So we have the Aries full moon. So
Yeah. And it's, I mean, we're jumping right into the Aries full moon. Maybe we just talk about that and kind of flesh out the rest of the week. But
I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, because I kind of feel like it's a hold my beer energy, when people like, you can't do, and you're just like, hold my beer. Like, we're fucking over it. Like, we're ready to move forward. Like, watch this in a good way
no,
for us. Yeah.
I definitely I feel like, we were talking off screen about it. Like, I was like, what is this that's going to break? And I'm like, almost like, I think it's the bullshit that's going to break.
I agree.
Like this tension that we're feeling is like, we're all kind of like unconsciously still holding on to that whatever from before. And now it's like, nope, you got to let it go.
Well, also, it's like, and I know I don't want to get political, but like, it's like now we're hearing about a government shutdown, like we're fucking over inflation, all these things. And it's like, just do your fucking jobs, everyone, not us, because we always do our jobs and our listeners always do their jobs. So good job, guys. Um, but it's also just like with the strikes and the unions, like we have to ask just for fair wages. Like we're kind of fucking over all this.
Yeah. And it's definitely like, there definitely feels like that energy of like, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Like
Yes.
from everywhere, like
Yeah.
beyond, obviously all the strikes, like everybody's striking. Great. Yay. Power to the people.
I agree.
Uh, everybody's striking, like crazy things just like keep coming up with the government. Like
Yeah.
everything's just kind of like almost like melting down, but in a good way to like just get us back, like distill us down to like a more authentic place because
Yeah.
we're aware of the bullshit now. So we're like, okay, why do we keep doing it then?
Right. Like when someone says, but we were like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like you're gonna say, okay, no, you're not. You're not gonna do that. Like we're
Yeah.
tired of
And
these old gaslighty stories that aren't gonna happen.
no. And I think I've personally been having that feeling of like, I just can't take the crap anymore. Like when somebody says something to me that's not true, I'm like, I just can't
Yeah.
take them
Yeah.
anymore through it. I'm like, nope, that's not true.
Yeah, that's what yeah, that happened to me last week. And usually like I feel like I've got enough social graces and stuff, like I can just power through it, and keep a good attitude. And last week I was like, I just kind of basically turned around and walked off. I was like, I can't fucking do it. Like, forget it.
And I think that's maybe what this Aries full moon is about because, Aries is the self. And, of course, Libra is how we, interact with others and, our social graces and things of that nature. And I think we're just like walking away from anything that isn't true to the self.
I think so too. Like I'm kind of also like in a point in my life where I just want to go to the top. Like I need to talk to who's in charge.
Yeah.
So let me get there, let me do these things and then go from there.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that too. And I think something about this week, like I just keep feeling is like just kind of like distilling us down and like kind of just, breaking away all that crap.
Remind me after what you said, distilling us down. I guess to say it right now, when I was driving back home, on the back of the bus, there was a brewery that used, or a distillery that used to work for, had a big sign on the back of the bus. So yeah, right there,
Yeah.
distilling us down.
Yep.
Okay,
Distilling it
so
down. And
Monday.
maybe I'll say something about distillation to like
Okay.
get people thinking about it. When you distill like an alcohol or, any kind of liquid, what you're doing is you're boiling it down to remove the impurities. But by doing that, it shrinks. So it's almost like something about like things like kind of shrinking away that don't,
Yeah.
that we're boiling off,
And
especially with
boiling is perfect because of the Aries full moon.
yes. So
Aries
again,
is
I think
fire.
we really are distilling something away.
Yeah. Okay, so Monday today, the moon is in Aquarius.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say probably the big thing from today is that we've got that square with Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously the thing with Jupiter, squares can be challenges, but Jupiter, is always adding enthusiasm and, a light, fresh, exciting, energy to things. And I think in a way he's challenging us right now to look at the big picture,
Mm-hmm.
look at, especially with the moon in Aquarius, it's always kind of like zooming us out as well. Look at the big picture and like maybe just see where we can add a little bit more faith into what we're doing, add a little bit more trust in the universe.
Because that was definitely coming through when I was on this walk, kind of like zooming out and not getting stuck in the minutia,
Yes.
in Mercury in Virgo trining Jupiter as well
Yeah.
today. I had to start a new conversation with myself. Like it was definitely like that moon Aquarius squaring Jupiter was more like, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? Are you
Yeah.
going to talk about these things, or are you going to talk about these other things, right? And so it was kind of like I needed almost a reality check of like the bigger picture, because the bigger picture looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I definitely see this like as like kind of a zooming out, especially, yeah, Mercury trine Jupiter, because Mercury is the mind. And
Mhm.
it's like, stop focusing on all those little things. Like each little thing is like driving you nuts and
Yes.
nitpicking it and stuff. Like zoom out to the big picture and be like, yeah, all these things are here, but really they're all part of one big thing.
Yeah. And it did work. And if you guys do have a chance to go for a walk today, go for a walk.
Yes, definitely go for a walk. I think if I could give any advice to anybody, I'm going to tell you spend as much time as you can in nature right now.
Yeah,
Like the natural world, no matter what, will always make sense because it just goes with the flow.
it
Like
does.
right now, we have our society or whatever probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So
No.
don't drive yourself nuts about it. It's all kind of falling away, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Tuesday the moon will be still in Aquarius.
Yes.
Um, it'll be conjunct Saturn that day.
Yes, but not until the moon moves into Pisces.
Oh, duh. Why can't I read that? Okay, which also makes sense, but because Saturn's in Pisces. So the first half of Tuesday, when the moon is still in Aquarius,
Yes, we've got
it's
this T square actually between all the Leo energy of Venus, Juno, and Lilith,
mm-hmm,
and then also Uranus and Taurus. So Moon opposite Venus, Juno, and Lilith,
mm-hmm,
squaring Uranus creates a T square.
mm-hmm.
And T square is obviously, point of challenge, basically, you look at the 3 points and I always kind of think of it as like a grand cross with missing energy. So you want to That would be Scorpio in this
Yeah, I was gonna
case.
say Scorpio would be coming in there. Water. Well, I was gonna say
How do
water.
we break the tension? We focus on the Scorpio energy. And the Scorpio energy obviously is water. So going with the flow with things, but also Scorpio represents like, the things that are hidden, our shadow, like, face our shadow, face the things that are hidden, like bring the things out into the light. That's how we're going to be able to meet the challenges of this T square on that day.
And listen, it was coming in pretty clear for me that this fall season is going to be turbulent, right? Because we are moving into eclipse season. But like if you're traveling and you hit a little bit turbulence and you're like, whoa, but you keep going. So
Yeah.
and that was coming through, like, stay the course, you guys. Even if it gets turbulent, stay the course. So if you need to land the plane for the storm to clear, land the plane and let the storm clear, but then take back off.
Mhm.
There is something really strong coming in for us to stay the course and see the bigger picture. This moon in
Yeah.
Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus is probably going to be another bumpy day in the morning tomorrow.
And
Um,
again, yeah, because the moon's in Aquarius, which, rules Uranus.
mhm.
So, and those energies are not anything known to be conventional.
Right. And so it is like challenging us to see the bigger picture. It is
Hmm.
challenging us to believe in something that's not quite here yet,
Hmm.
but it's coming, and that is challenging because a lot of times we're just like, I want to see it right now.
Right. Yeah. And I think the challenge also is like surrendering to the fact that something can be different, that things can change, that it's going to change, that it is changing,
Yeah.
and to be okay with that.
Yeah. And I think Scorpio is a good surrender energy, even though it's fixed
Yeah.
water, but I mean, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like an energy that you must surrender to. So I think if we are feeling that tension, just surrender.
Yeah. Hand it
Like,
over.
okay, it feels tense. It's
And if
where
you have
I'm
to,
at.
right. And if you have to go for a walk and do some silent screams, do that too. You're fine.
Right.
Hug a
And I
tree.
think, I think the thing, I don't know, I'm kind of like ad libbing a little bit here, but the
Okay.
thing that's coming through for me is I think a lot of times when we feel that tension, we think we have to do something with it. And then we're like doing something wrong if we're not moving it. Like sometimes it just feels tense.
Yeah. That's what I say too.
Like it feels tense.
Like this morning, I was like, this is just where we are.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
like maybe if you don't resist it, it'll actually go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah. Well, again, surrendering to the tension, or I guess like agitation. I know, anyway, I think they know. So Tuesday, the moon will move into Pisces and then it'll conjunct Saturn.
Yes. So I
And
think that gives us an opportunity to maybe find a little bit of stability,
mhm,
a little bit of a, foundation in all of the chaos, so to speak.
yeah, because, the moon moving into Pisces, that's more water.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there is a big, like our feelings, do we feel agitated? Like the feelings are coming in a lot. And sometimes that's hard for us to work with because we do want things to be logical.
Right.
And you kind of touched on that last week, I think. So again, being okay with your feelings, I think, is what's going to help us get through this week.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, again, accepting them and not feeling like you have to change them
Right.
or
Or it's
do something with them. It's like, just feel them.
right. Or thinking like I'm feeling this is wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up because I think because there are so many new feelings coming through that we don't quite understand because a lot of new energy coming into the earth. I think there's the tendency to be like, I'm doing something wrong because I feel this way and I don't understand it. It's like,
So
well, nobody understands anything right now.
right. And this is kind of how I was explaining it earlier this weekend. It was like, like when you see someone and you give them like someone needs a hug and you give them a hug and they're just kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, and you're just like, oh, you give them a hug. And then like maybe you do it 3 or 4 more times before they finally be like, and like just give you a hug back.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel like. I feel like the universe is coming in and giving us a hug, and we're just like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Yeah.
And then like and it keeps coming until we're finally like, oh, now I get it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for this hug. But right now
Yeah.
we're just like,
Good
what?
way of putting
Yeah. Okay, Wednesday.
Yes. Wednesday's interesting day, actually. So I don't know if you
Wait,
noticed.
there's more.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
right? I don't know if you noticed I put the note in there that it was the equilux.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that actually,
Okay.
because that's only going to really apply for like our area. So what the equilux is, it's like slightly different than the equinox. So the equinox is like, the idea is like on the equator. This would be when there's like equal day and night, basically, or light and darkness of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously, depending upon where you're at in the world, that doesn't apply on that particular day. So everywhere, wherever you're at, there will be a different day around the equinox that ends up being what they call the equilux, which is when you personally have 12 hours of night, 12 hours of day,
Oh,
like
nice.
wherever you're at.
Okay.
So in New Orleans, in our area, we have the equilux on Wednesday. So it's, 12 hours, 12 hours. And to me, I always feel like that's kind of interesting because we experience the equinox all together, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then the equilux is kind of like dependent upon where you're at. So it's almost like we have the time to like balance with the earth, but then also balance with our community.
Yeah.
And I see that as like a perfect time to like find balance within your community because it is specific to your location.
Oh, that's nice.
So to me, I'm like, I guess, if you're watching this and you're not in New Orleans or, the general area, you might want to just look that up. Like if you look it up on your moon app, you could see like, when you have the day where like the moon and the sun set exactly 12 hours apart from each other, or the sun, excuse me, sets
Yeah.
exactly 12 hours apart from each other. That's your equilux. But that might be just, I don't know, it's kind of just coming through for me. It might be a good day to like kind of just try and reconnect with your community and like, your sense of place.
And you are always more than welcome to share our equilux,
Yeah, why
no matter
not?
where you are. Yep. Okay, so also on Wednesday, the moon is still in Pisces.
Yeah, spending the whole day in Pisces, just having a sextile now with Jupiter, which I think, so there's not so much of a challenge. It's more of, just a harmonious flow of energy. And that one, like to me, a sextile with Jupiter is like about as beautiful as it gets because Jupiter's always happy and jovial and, so
More of
he's
a
got all
break.
this enthusiasm to throw our way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's just a really infectious energy that just kind of gets us excited and um just feeling, good about ourselves again. And that same day, we've got Venus forming a conjunction with Juno, which I think is just like a beautiful feminine energy of just really like committing to the things that actually really matter to you, the things that really are important to you, making a commitment to those things and
Yeah,
kind of just like letting everything else fall away.
I like that. Also, like it's that fire, like Leo.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the
So,
heart. Like
mm-hmm.
I always think of Leo as the heart. So it's like it's a very heart-based energy of what is your heart telling you to do?
Yeah. And your heart is always talking, guys. So make sure you listen.
Yeah.
Because Venus, again, that Venus energy, I feel like Venus has kind of got a bad rap because she was kind of lumped in with Aphrodite, and now they're like the same. But Venus was originally a earth goddess. She
Yeah.
was the goddess of the garden. That's
Mm-hmm.
why she rules Taurus, who's fixed earth. So this is telling us like to get regrounded and remember who we are, like our essence. You
Yes.
said with the Juno, and you see in Juno's relationships, that relationships within us, and just like getting that relationship back with who we are.
Yes. And I think especially with us experiencing the equinox on the same day, I feel like there's just this like beautiful balancing energy of like just getting back on like solid ground again,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of like ungrounding has had to happen for us to kind of grow and evolve. But
And
I
that's all
think we're
that
going to get grounding back in ourselves on that day.
I agree. And I mean, that's all that Uranus and Taurus energy to me, like it's just been happening for years now.
Yeah.
When does Uranus leave Taurus?
I
2025?
want to say, 2026, but I could be totally wrong.
Okay. Well, I said 2025. I just guessed. I just knew.
It's a couple years from now still, but yeah,
Okay.
we're
We're
getting
closing.
there. We're closer.
I was gonna say we're closing in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thursday. In my mind, not fast enough. but
Yeah.
just kidding. Thursday, the moon is in Pisces at the beginning of the day.
Yes.
Um,
Opposition to Mercury, which I feel like it's definitely like kind of like zooming out, seeing the big picture. Um, with Mercury and Virgo, like it's very pragmatic. But then seeing the big picture with like Moon and Pisces, that is, a little intangible.
you know what I was going to say with that moon in Pisces, though? It's going to let us know exactly what needs to be cut away.
Yes.
Because Pisces is that alpha and omega. So
Mhm.
if it's opposite, like we always say, like that's that tension, right? So we can move things forward.
Yep.
So I feel like that moon in Pisces on Thursday is telling us exactly what needs to go and what exactly needs to come in. In Mercury and Virgo, we're going to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's interesting too is the moon will be conjunct Neptune.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah, I like that just amplifies that like energy of Pisces because like Neptune in Pisces is about as Pisces as you could get.
I know. And Neptune
So,
rules that 12th house, right? Which is sometimes known as the house of karma.
right. And it's definitely the thing with Pisces is because it is the last sign, when you think of it as a progression, because obviously Aries is the self, that's the first thing we understand, and then we move along in, the 12
Yeah.
signs. By the time we get to Pisces, we're getting to that like high level stuff that you can't just look at a piece of paper and have the evidence of,
Right.
like it's not 2 + 2 is 4. Like it's not simple things like that. It's complex things that, we speak of a lot of times like intuition with Pisces energy. And it's like the thing with intuition is you can't prove that to anybody. There's just things you just know.
Right. It's the
And
mystery.
right. And being able to actually trust that, to truly trust that, that to me is like mastering the Pisces energy.
I like that. Because
The
that's,
things you can't under any circumstances prove to anyone, you just know it.
yeah. And so, and gosh, like this whole thing, like this whole week too, is like leaning back into that. Because that feeling grounded, right? With that conjunction with Venus and Juno and Leo, right?
Mhm.
That's our self-esteem. Leo's our self-esteem, um and so really start to lean in like this is who I am and being grounded in that. And then Thursday, the moon in Pisces will be conjunct Neptune, but opposite Mercury, in Virgo. So, and then sextiling Uranus and Taurus and Pluto and Capricorn. So that sextiling energy is harmonious. But still, like Uranus is is an intense energy. Pluto is an intense energy.
Yep.
And so it's okay to balance this out, like again, and the thing about with astrology, it's like the old way astrology was like it's always just a war between these planets and all this stuff. And so if you start feeling that way, remind yourself, no, actually it's a way to get more harmonious.
Right.
So that's to me bringing in more of that Pisces. It's that higher self. Pisces is the mystic when it's at the highest. Pisces is the old JC, the big Jesus Christ, right? uh
Yeah.
and he was here teaching love and compassion. And then also, but like life and all those is eternal. So just because one thing ends, it's ready because something else has to begin.
Right.
And so just keep that in mind on that day, on that day, because we're moving towards this full moon in Aries.
Yes. And we get a preview of that at the end of the day when the moon moves into Aries.
Guess what? I'm moving into Aries because I'm the moon. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about Thursday and the moon in Pisces before we go to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We can move on from there.
Okay. Friday, the moon will be in Aries. This is our full moon.
Yes. And
Wearing Vesta in Cancer.
right. And what's really interesting to me? I was thinking about this and I kept looking it up to see if I was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take away Vesta and Pallas Athena, the dwarf planets from this,
Mm-hmm.
the moon is not making any interactions to anything besides the sun that day.
Interesting.
Right. And again, the next day, because we do have plenty of planets in Aries,
Mm-hmm.
the moon, conjunctions and things like that. But like that particular day, like if we, because a lot of astrologers don't read the dwarf planets, you know,
Right.
I like to, I think you do too, but um if we didn't read those, the moon basically would just fully be focused on her interaction with the sun,
In the sun,
which
yes.
I think is kind of beautiful because it is a super moon. It's like this is like a really intense energy focusing on this particular thing.
And it's our fourth supermoon.
Yeah, it's our fourth super moon. You know, I was telling you off camera, it felt like something, you know, I keep getting the message from spirit that something's going to break. You know, I think it's like, I feel like it's the floodgates breaking open. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's all the bullshit kind of, you know, busting away.
Yeah. So because let's say like you're saying, if the moon and the sun are focused on each other, right? The sun is in Libra. That's the scales, that's balance. The south node, which is the lunar
Mm-hmm.
south node, is in Libra.
Yep.
We could just do a whole video on that, quite honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
if they're just focusing on that, it's really focusing on what we are leaving behind that keeps us out of balance, you know?
Right.
It really is focusing on, I mean, it really is focusing on that. Like we can't keep saying these charades and like
Mm-hmm.
being all these things. It's like I can't like when you and I were talking the other day and you were like, I don't know why I keep this charade up. Like I just need to be honest with these people, you know? And you were like, it's not doing either one of us any good. And you were kind about it, but you know, you were just like, okay, I'm ready. Um, and that's, I think that's what's falling. That's that kind of that laser focus, that Aries, you know, Aries is the start, Aries is
Mm-hmm.
fire, and we're ready to burn it down.
Yeah, exactly. We are. It definitely feels like that energy. And like, you know, if you, we do include those two dwarf planets in there because we've got a square with Vesta and then an opposition with Pallas Athena.
Hmm.
Um, I think they totally play into like what's going on here because Pallas Athena is the wise warrior. You know, she's always strategizing our plan of helping us strategize our plan of attack.
Hmm.
And you know, she's, you know, going to be getting close to a conjunction with the sun. So that's why we're seeing the opposition on that same day.
Hmm.
Um, she's helping us like kind of cut away the bullshit, you know, and
Yeah.
going, what is actually necessary so we can move forward. And then Square with the Besta is like challenging us to be like, is this really what you want to devote yourself to?
Right,
Is
because
this
Cancer's our
what
home.
and I think it's gonna be like kind of a honestly like a shit or get off the pot moment. Like, you know, all right, this all isn't working for you. So what are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
hanging on to it?
Yeah.
Why is that? But I think, you know, to me, the big story also on that day is not even the full moon as much as what's also going on during the full moon. Venus squaring Uranus and the North Node forming a conjunction with Eris. I feel like those are some really big energies of liberating us from what's not true to us.
Right, because Eris is going to throw that golden apple in, you
Yep.
know?
She's going to disrupt whatever needs to be disrupted.
Yeah. And she's going to make us see things. Venus and Leo, right? Again, you guys, when Venus is in Leo, that's that divine feminine and divine masculine energies working together. So,
Yes.
squaring Uranus and Taurus, you know, and again, this is a lot of energy coming in fast. Uranus is the revolution, the
Yep.
rebellion, right? Uranus is that tower energy. Um, and so allow things to fall away, like we've been talking about. And that the north node is what we are moving towards, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
north node is in Aries.
Yeah.
So this full moon, like we said, is hitting both that north node and that south node.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of energy that day. This is a big full moon and it's a super moon.
It is. It's a really big moon. And like, you know, you were talking about rebellious energy and or revolutionary, you know, perhaps we said both.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, I really do see this as like an energy of I don't want to say starting a revolution because I feel like the revolution is always, you know, happening, but like some like really big thing happening for all of us where we kind of like decide almost like drawing a line in the sand, going like, this
Mhm.
is just not what we're doing anymore. Like, I'm sorry that was the narrative before. I'm sorry that's what somebody wants to do, but like, we're just not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And like, the thing that keeps coming through for me is a lot of stuff, revolving around like climate change and like
Mhm.
just this like underlying thing that everybody kind of just knows it's real. Like, if you're paying attention, and we're getting to that point where we're like, we just don't, I don't really care if somebody's making money off of the false narratives anymore. Like, we just all got to live, so we got to get past that.
Yeah, we can't keep greenwashing things,
No,
like,
can't.
oh,
And I definitely think there's something about this full moon that's just kind of like, yeah, like a shit or get off the pot of like, decide where you want to be and go with that.
yeah. And remember, you guys, I believe we're in this age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is that individual first and then the collective. So if you feel the rebellion within you, that's good.
Mhm.
If you see it in the
Yeah,
collective, that's good too.
I think that's a thing that almost like this day is going to remind us that like we're meant to, like, what is it, it was John Lewis that said about good trouble,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Like, create the good trouble. Like, if something's wrong, we shouldn't just bow down and accept it.
And I have to say this too, which I mean it might be like super obvious, but again, because Libra is the scales, we just need to keep our eye on the Supreme Court and things like that
Mhm.
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, guys, Saturday the moon is still in Aries.
Yes, and we're still sorting through that big full moon energy.
Yeah.
Because then we're going to have a conjunction with Chiron, the North Node, and Eris, which we already had, the North Node and Eris, the conjunction the day before. But
Hmm.
now the moon's joining in. Now we got Chiron in there. And I think it's just, again, like releasing the old narratives, like clearing the path and like just doing the healing that we need to do so we can move forward.
Also, it's kind of like that you're not like that, kind of like that energy of like you're not going to bring up that old story again, are you? Like we've that ship has sailed. Like that's not going to
Yeah.
work anymore. Like,
Ooh, I like that you mentioned that because we've
mm.
got Mercury trining Uranus that day.
Oh, there you
You
go.
cannot have old stories with that kind of configuration.
Yeah.
It's moving forward energy.
Yep. So
That
love.
is writing new stories.
And again, this goes back to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the week. There has to be this form of surrender. And sometimes
Yeah.
when the agitation comes in, and I've experienced this myself, not just today, but other days as well. Um, I know that I'm getting into a point where something new's coming in and I get pissed off. Like I know as a spiritual person, I ask for this and everything, but when it's finally here, you know, I do have to come to that conclusion that there is that death that has to happen in order for me to move forward. And there's been a
Yep.
lot of times when I'm doing things and like on the way there or showing up, I'm like, ugh, why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes I just have to tell myself, it's like, because this is what you asked for, Jamie, and you know that you're moving forward. So sometimes feel free to give you guys or yourself that pep talk because
Yeah.
this is a big energy. It's a big week, as we say. It's a big week.
And I'm just sitting here looking at it, realizing we also have opposition to Mars and square to Pluto.
Yeah.
So this is not.
This is not a test, everyone. We are here. Okay.
Like I'm trying to see how to like say this right, but like this is not it's not a day to ignore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
This is not a day to like, put the covers over your face and like, just try and there's a lot of challenges from the universe and I feel like it's like a lot of like helping us level up kind of
Yeah.
challenges.
So give yourself
Again,
that pep
shit or
talk.
get off the pot.
Yeah.
Shit or get
Mercury's in Virgo, trining Uranus in Taurus. So it is telling you you can do this. You can do this. You might not know the whole thing. You might be trying to relive an old story with Chiron, like Mars is trying to get us balanced out, but we don't know how and all this stuff. And just take it with a grain of salt and just be like, no matter what happens, I know I'm on the right track. I know I'm moving forward and I'm allowing myself to get the information I need in order to do so.
Yep.
Yeah, because we can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys can fill in the comments how your day was on Saturday. Okay, Sunday, Moon and Taurus.
Yes. I
Okay.
like this. I feel like this is a beautiful way to end the week because we've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
The moon in Taurus is beautiful. That's like there's definitely something about like resting and like indulging, whenever the moon is in Taurus. And because, let's be honest, Taurus, they love to eat, they love to sleep, do those things. That's a great
I'm not
thing.
gonna argue. Not
But
gonna...
the conjunction with Jupiter is just like, again, adding that beautiful jovial energy that like just kind of sparks things back up, perks us back up, makes us excited again. Um, and then an opposition to Ceres is like, making sure we're actually taking care of ourselves. So, when people talk about self-care Sunday, you could not like have a better configuration for, slowing down, taking the time to really care for yourself on that day.
And see where you are now in your life and what self-care means to you now.
Yeah.
Like it should change throughout your life. Maybe
Yeah.
it meant going and watching football games with your buddies on Sunday, but maybe now it doesn't mean that. Maybe it means going for a walk or things like that. So again, this is a big week of, it's that full moon energy, right? This is when we're our most psychic selves with the full moon. It illuminates things that need to come in and that need to go all at the same time. It is an
Mhm.
Aries. It is a super moon. We're hitting on both of the nodes, the north, south node, north node. So this is a big week, you guys. So give yourself lots of space, lots of time, lots of water, and let Sunday be your self-care day.
Yes. And it's also great because we've got the sun forming a conjunction with Pallas Athena on that day. So to me, I'm like, that's like strategizing how to be true to ourselves. Like, what ways do we have to like what things do we need to do so that like as we're moving through our day, we are always true to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Keeping things in balance.
Right. And that also is self-care. Because again, self-care isn't just taking bubble baths. Sometimes self-care is, they say self-care is not reading the comments. Like when you
Right.
read horrible posts on Facebook, don't read the comments.
Yeah.
You know,
Or like feeling like you have to get back with somebody, but you don't want to. Just don't. At this point in your
yeah,
life, just don't.
right.
You don't owe people explanations anymore.
No, you don't owe people explanations. And like, especially if somebody's like giving you a hard time or it feels shitty, like, why do you feel like you owe them an explanation? You
Right.
don't.
Practice self-care.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Don't read the comments. That's
Right.
yourself.
Exactly. Okay, friends. I think that's it for this week. Um, I'll be checking in on Wednesday and then coming in with the full moon video. Also, I'm going to do the tarot scopes for fall here. Hopefully, I'll get those done today. Helen will have always on her Instagram the dailies, if you will, where all the planets are. If you guys want to do a session with me or Helen, you can reach out to us on our YouTube channels, Instagram, and then I have a couple websites. So thank you. You guys, we got this. This is a big week. We're in it to win it together.
Yep.
We're already feeling this full moon energy because it's usually 3 days in and 3 days out. So
Mhm.
we got this.
We got it.
Okay, until next time, everybody.
Bye.